All right, so we're busy getting our collection of parts ready for this. We did find that we are going to need some more items. When we were in here looking at this stuff, we knew we were going to need some things due to just looking at some things. The return line off of our oil, this is pretty spongy, and it looks like to be just typical radiator hose. So what oil does to hoses, after a while it just deteriorates them. So we knew we were going to need that. If you take a look at this coolant line, the way this was rigged up, we have kinks here. So we had a coolant flow issue going through our line. Not only that, the way this is here is just not right. Now that I'm looking at it, I might double check. It looks like we might be replacing the manifold gasket, as it looks like it might not be the correct one. Everything else over here, like I said, we just got this motor out of here, so we're checking everything out. I will be disassembling this some more, but with that being said, we also ordered, this is our oil feed line, pretty rough. I mean, it's got a spot here that I touched, but rusty, not routed right, no shielding. Here is the coolant line. It's just, like I said, this stuff is just kind of a mess. We have an oil catch can. This is part of our turbo blanket mess that we had going on. They had like the shield on top, and they had this all cut, and you can see that that's got just a mess. So anyway, with that being said, we also noticed that we had severely bad front wheel bearing on this side, along with this side. Being that this already has a modern performance head, more than most likely, since I haven't gotten to it yet, there's a 99.9% chance that this has aftermarket cams in it, all right? So something along with aftermarket cams in these motors is it makes them an interference motor. If that belt jumps, something gets in there, a bolt, a rock, a stone, seen it before happen, you will have interference between your pistons, tops, and your valves, and you will bend valves. That will be a very expensive fix, okay? So we did gather up some more parts. Just gonna get these set up here. We do have our entire fuel system. I went over that unboxing in a separate video, but let's check out some of the other stuff that we have gotten here so far. We are still waiting on more. Just dropping it. All right, so we had a modern performance order come in, all right, and the reasoning of why. Okay, here is our fourth mount. Solid mount. Why do you need that? Makes more vibration, makes stuff bad. Okay, so the nicest fourth mount available for the srt4 Neon currently today on the market is this well-made AGP unit right here. Okay, comes with the bolt that you need and everything. Now, why are we replacing that? Well, I'm not sure what someone was thinking here or what they filled this with, but this had no transmission in it, and you can see it pulled through. It had this all the way pulled out. It's very loose. It is already deteriorated, and whatever they used to fill it was not the correct thing. You actually want to use like a good quality 3M window urethane when you're doing these. So we have a junk fourth mount. That's why we're replacing that. There's that. Okay. Now, we did look at some of this turbo stuff. All right. So, with that being said, we ordered the new coolant line kit. All right. From AGP. I'm jumping around here, so follow me. And we ordered the oil feed oil feed line, drain line, and the new fittings and stuff for the turbo. That way we can actually install a quality line that we know is not going to leak. Okay, now let's jump back here to our modern order. So we ordered the Gates blue belt, and why did we do that? Because we ordered one of these really nice clear. Look, they come with stickers now. Man, it sucks. I got a couple of these. I ain't getting no stickers. Some people get excited about that. But we ordered a nice clear upper cover to go on this motor. So we're going to be showing off the nice blue racing, should be the blue racing Gates belt. You know, and you don't technically really need this belt, but it just looks so much nicer. And then I always make sure I have the wording sticking out the correct way when I install these, like that. So if you're looking in from the side, you'll see it. So we're going to be installing all the timing covers. I'm going to go over and double check all the gaskets. I'm still waiting on a gasket kit from AGP. And hopefully we don't find too much more that we need on here. It looked like the water pump was replaced at one time, but looking at this belt, you can see we've got a whole bunch of, you can see it right there where the sun's hitting it, cracking and just wear. It looks like it's an older belt. I'm not sure on whatever this underdrive pulley is. This did have the power steering with the power steering delete kit, but we are going to be reinstalling the air conditioning into this. And I mean, right now, we still have more tear down to do. We're going to get these wheels off. We have wheel bearings on the way. I ordered new, I'm going to just cover this like I did in the Blue Nightmare with some heat shielding. It looks like we've had some oil get onto our heater core hoses, so I'm going to pick out a nicer set of those and get those installed. We're going to remove this incorrect ground wire over there. That's just a nightmare. We have some of this other wiring for various other things. Yeah, we will have to, you can kind of see it more now. You can see it more now with the lower core support, how far back it's punched right there. So we need to bend that out straight, and then we're going to get everything cleaned up under here, go over everything, recheck all of the wiring, make sure everything is correct. Might even touch this up with some paint in this engine bay before we start doing our reassembly. That way we know everything is done correctly and we shouldn't have any issues. We still have a lot to pull apart in here as far as getting this stuff straightened out here. You know, we're going to be removing this. Whatever else they got going on, we're going to be ordering a plug and play harness for our watt box so that we can get that installed correctly. And just going over everything in here, probably get a radio install kit so that the radio is installed right. Make sure, go over and make sure all of these gauges are in right. I mean, this is a true boost gauge, but I didn't see the solenoid for the control for the wastegate yet. I don't know where it's tucked. Maybe they tucked it inside and they ran the hoses through. Don't know why someone would do that. We got to pull the clutch apart, double check that. Like I said, we have a bunch of parts that are in the car. So, you know, we got to go over this stuff. The fork is good. It's just rusted. And we have a new bearing. Like I said, I already got the AC compressor sitting in here. There's different things that were modified on the bottom of this car that we're going to have to go under and cut off these extra brackets. That if you looked at our first video, you'll be able to see that. But right here, yeah, brand new AC condenser. We've got that ready to install. We are going to be removing the steering wheel. Yeah, not exactly something I would install on a car. It's actually got the horn button. I wonder if it worked. It looks like they have. Here's for your there's for the, what is it, the clock spring for the horn and the airbag. That's unplugged. So we got to straighten that mess out also. Just a lot of everything needs to be taken apart, gone over, and reassembled correctly. And that's, well, kind of what I do pretty good, is fixing everything that was done wrong. So we're going to start on the engine. We're going to get, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull most of this stuff off of here, and I might end up putting a bell housing on it. We'll scope out our cylinders because we never heard this thing run, and just double check to make sure that there's nothing in there. And we might throw an empty case for a transmission on here and a starter, crank this thing over and try to do a compression test. Just give this thing a good once over. Then we can get everything else cleaned up and start getting everything assembled and ready for reinstallation. Man, we did some more disassembly. We have the bumper off. Here's the awesome dryer duct that was running up for an intake. We've got damaged wheel well on this side. The intercoil was just kind of, they had bolts running through here and they had it separated so they could have a nut on the back side. This did actually take a pretty good hit over here. It actually bent this upper bar, so I don't know. I don't think, I mean, it could be the same bumper. It does have a chunk of repair. I don't know what they stuck on the back side of that before they repainted it. You can feel it. Wasn't super worked in. All right. So you can actually see just how bad this lower core is over here. And you can see here it's twisted and then up right in here. Hopefully the camera's picking that up. So we're going to straighten all that out. We still do have a bunch more to get off of here. This here is only got the front half. So we ordered some of the aftermarket inner wells. I always like to put them back on, so everything will be right. There's our overflow. I'm going to be removing that. Basically, I like to stick them over here and mount them here. Or with that one, I could probably even mount it in here depending on what kind of a intake kit that they want to try to put on here. Normally, I'll always just stick a filter on the ends of the turbos, and that seems to work out fine for that. Now, let me see, is there anything else that's really, I got to get in here, fix up these wires that were cut into here, get all this stuff reconnected. They had the battery temp sensor not plugged in, so I'm sure it had that light lit up. I did find the solenoid for the True Boost gauge. There's some wiring here that needs to be fixed up. There was no, how can you say, this is how they had these passenger side lights plugged in. I don't know, maybe it was here. Here it is. That one came apart. It just wasn't even in. I mean, you can tell by looking at this that this stuff is a little rough. For wiring, there's trans reverse lights. That's actually good, believe it or not. So we're going to get all this stuff fixed up. They had the hoses for this, like they had this hole here, so they had a hose coming off of there running down in, and then they had all of the solenoids. Check out wood screws, who knows, just different stuff. All this stuff was shoved in here. Normally I'd like to try to wrap that stuff up, put it someplace a little bit better. Looks like we got the fog light cover over. They usually go down through on that side, kind of like that one is run down through. Actually, it's weird, like I've never seen anybody do this. That side they drilled holes to run it through. This bracket here needs removed. I still got to pull these wheels and see what else I find. I didn't get too far here with the motor, removing any parts off of that. Other than just getting, you know, the unboxing video that you're going to see. That was the fuel system, and then just getting into some of this. I don't think I got, because I haven't touched this for a couple days. Here's our firewall insulation. We have the bracket, how can you say it, the fuel line tubing brackets. So I have these, and then I'll use that to hold the fuel line up. So we have hubs and bearings right here. That's for the insulation. There's our watt box harness. All right, in this box is the gasket. So it's the gasket kit from AGP. So it'll be for the turbo, wastegate, the dump tube, the O2 housing coming off of the turbo, because they had that was just a mess. I don't know if I showed any of this stuff. These junk hoses. So basically I'm going through everything, and like I said, basically I'm still in disassembly and cleanup mode right now. I almost have the engine bay here done, so I'm gonna probably clean this stuff up. I'll get everything wiped down. I'm gonna remove that, try to get everything straightened out as best as possible. I'm gonna have a pile of stuff to go through the parts washer, and then I'm gonna try to just get everything set back. I'm gonna try to dust this stuff with some paint, try to make it look a little nicer under here. Like I said, along with trying to get some of this stuff straightened out. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do anything with this unless I pull this off and put it in my press. But I would say at this point, this probably has this rail pulled over just a little bit. Hopefully that doesn't cause us any major problems, but we do got to get that lower fixed up. Man, just a mess. The air cooler itself, it is the nice AGP race mount. I mean, this is not a cheap setup. That looks pretty good. The sticker's still there. That usually says tested to 50 psi. All right. That looks good. So this is where we're at. Oh man, you can really see it here. It's got that hole. It's actually back. It's got that side tucked pretty hard. I don't know if the cameras are usually not too good with picking up angles, especially like with hills and stuff. So you might not be able to see just how far pushed that is. I tucked that pulled that whole lower corner. That's down a little bit and everything. Sucks. But like I said, we're going to push that back out. We'll get that straightened out. Some other things here to clean up. Like I said, this harness needs done. We're going to be working on getting into getting things pulled apart in here. You know, we'll do the simple stuff like reprogramming our watt box when the time comes. Getting this stuff removed because we're relocating the battery back up front. I'm sure I mentioned that. And just double checking all this wiring, just like this. Like what is going on? You know, we'll get it. All right.